Andrew here at Rosema's Car Care again. Today we have a 2007 Hummer H3 and the customer concern is that the vehicle cranks but will not start. Additionally, the customer said that the sunroof they thought got left open and possibly some water got into the vehicle, so they just want to see what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can diagnose this one. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and crank the vehicle and see if the customer concern is present. And I don't know if you can hear that, but the vehicle is cranking but not starting. So let's take a look at the data. So we have some data pulled up here: the engine speed, engine coolant temp, mass airflow, map, baro, injector on time, and spark advance. I just want to see what happens when we crank it, see if any of these PIDs are dropping out, and see if this gives us any direction. So you can see while we're cranking, the engine RPM goes up, the mass airflow goes up, the injector pulse width turns on. So it looks like this vehicle is trying to start. It has everything it needs, it's just not able to. So let's keep looking and see what we can find. So every engine needs three things to run: spark, fuel, and compression. And I thought that fuel would be one of the easiest things to check first. So here I have pulled up the active test for the fuel pump. We're going to turn it on and see what happens. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm going to move my mic over here to the fuse box. The fuel pump relay is clicking on and off. Now this isn't 100% sign that everything is working properly, but it's a good start. So the next thing I did is found the fuel pressure test port down here. And I'm going to turn the fuel pump on, and then I'm just going to try and relieve some of the pressure. As you can see, a very tiny amount of fuel came out, but there doesn't seem to be any pressure. So I believe there is an issue with the fuel pump or fuel pump wiring on this vehicle. So next I pulled up the wiring diagram for the fuel pump. As you can see, we have the fuel pump relay up here, and that seems like it's getting turned on. So let's follow the wires down to the fuel pump itself. And you can see right here on terminal A we have a black wire, which is the ground for the fuel pump, and on terminal D we have a gray wire, which is the power for the fuel pump. So let's go to the vehicle and check that out. So I lifted up the vehicle in order to gain access to the fuel pump. As you can see, we had to take off a skid plate and loosen one of the mounting straps for the fuel tank. So if you come around here, I unplugged the fuel pump wires and then connected our Divo meter to the power and ground at the fuel pump. So the way this Divo meter works, right here it's going to show you the actual battery voltage, and then right here it's going to show you the voltage you have on the lead you have connected to the positive wire, and right here the voltage you have connected to the ground wire. So right now we're not showing anything, but let's go over to our scan tool and turn on the fuel pump relay and come back and see what we have. So you can see right here battery voltage is still good, but we have no ground. The power wire is lighting up green and showing 11.93 volts, almost battery voltage, but the ground is not being pulled to zero. So let's take a look at the wiring diagram again. So you can see right here, this is our bad ground G420. So let's get out of here and pull up the ground location. Under ground locations, we scroll down here, number 6 is ground G420. So if we look at that, that is right here. This looks like the front of the vehicle going back, so this looks like the left rear corner of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and look at the truck and see what we find. So we went ahead and looked around the back of the frame, up to this frame section here, down back here by the trailer hitch, and I didn't really see anything. But then I looked right up here, and as you can see, This is a ground wire that is completely disconnected from the frame. And this is on the left rear corner of the vehicle. So I believe that is our ground G420. So I went ahead and attached a jumper wire from that broken ground to the frame here. And if we go ahead and look at our meter, we now have almost 0 volts on the ground wire. So let's go ahead and connect that fuel pump back up and see what happens. So we have that ground jumper connected. So let's go ahead and try and crank the vehicle and see what happens. And there you have it. This vehicle is now starting and running properly. So we're gonna find a more permanent solution for that ground, probably a nut and bolt in the frame or something like that. But this was just a quick temporary check to see if that was indeed the problem, and it looks like it was. Like I said, the customer said there was some water that got into the interior of the vehicle. That did not cause this issue. There may be other issues that we discover, but we're gonna start by repairing this broken ground because that was what was causing this vehicle not to run. Thanks for coming along with us today. Have a great day. Down at the bottom is where the fuel pressure regulator connector is plugged in. So because we had a circuit open code,